Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Plagiarism. Lecture number 14. Let us now delve into this very important aspect of writing a research paper without indulging in plagiarism. And right from the lecture number 2 to till now, every time, whenever there was a need, I was talking about plagiarism because it is a serious, offense for a research scholar to copy and paste and claim that it is his own work. So, what does plagiarism mean? Let us try to understand that. The use the words or ideas of another person as if they were your own words or ideas. This is what it means by plagiarism. To steal and pass off the ideas or words of another as one's own. Use another's production without crediting the source. We do have to mention many people's past work in the introduction part of the research paper, which we have seen and we have understood. But their due credit is given to the author, and that is where we put the reference, if you recall. So that is okay. But just taking the sentence verbatim and putting by copying and pasting is not allowed, and that is what is plagiarism, which is a serious offense. To commit literary theft, it is like committing a literary theft. You know, there are thefts in the house, there are robberies in the bank, and so on. It is like stealing somebody's word and putting it in your account, which is not right. So it is a very serious offense, and please I am again and again repeatedly telling that it is a very big offense for a research scholar to copy anybody else's work and claim it to be his own. So it is like committing a literary theft. Present as new and original an idea or product derived from an existing source. So you cannot claim somebody else's idea and claim it to be your own idea if you are not a part of it. So due credit has to be given, and if you give due credit by putting the reference, then it is okay. But even then, you can't lift the same sentence and put. You have to paraphrase it. You have to write from active to a passive tone, changing the words so that the meaning does not change, but the original statement is not copied. This has to be borne in mind. So, let us now get into a little deeper thought about plagiarism. What it is. Plagiarism is essentially a form of theft or fraud. It is theft because you are taking somebody else's intellectual property without their permission or credit. It's a fraud because you are pretending that their work is your own work, which is completely wrong. Now, for example, this can include copying the text from a source word for word without citing it, paraphrasing a source but not acknowledging the original author, or even using someone else's idea without proper attribution. According to the University of Virginia, this is how it is being explained to all the university students, that this is the way you either paraphrase and not give the source where you have taken this, whose idea it is. Even that is plagiarism. Copying and pasting definitely is plagiarism, undoubtedly. But even if you do not give weightage to the person after paraphrasing, even that is plagiarism, because it is not your idea, it is the idea of that author. And therefore, any type of such theft will come under plagiarism. Why it matters? Plagiarism can result in failing assignments, disciplinary action from schools or workplace, and damage to your reputation, especially in academic settings. It can also lead to legal consequences in certain situations. So, it is a serious thing. It not only defames you, but it also can lead to some legal issues also. So, therefore, one should not take plunge into plagiarism. The institute can take disciplinary action either in the school or in college or at workplace, and that certainly is going to damage your reputation. Apart from that, it could be as serious as that you can be debarred from publishing or debarred from doing any academic work. You may be expelled out of your PhD program. So just take it very seriously. It is a serious matter which should be understood, and right at the onset of your research journey, you should remember to avoid plagiarism of any kind. Now, how to avoid it? Properly cite your sources either in text or through a bibliography, and be mindful of using your own words and ideas even when paraphrasing. So, even when you are doing paraphrasing, you have to be very careful that you are not missing out the bibliography. Bibliography means referencing. So do not get confused if I am using a new word. That means due credit should be given to the author, even though you have changed the sentence that he had originally written in his paper, which by means of paraphrasing. So both the ways you have to be very, very careful. Types of plagiarism. Direct plagiarism, copying text word for word without quotation or citation. Self-plagiarism, reusing your own previous work without disclosure or citation. Mosaic plagiarism, mixing copied phrases with your own words without proper credit. Accidental plagiarism, failing to cite sources correctly or unintentionally paraphrasing improperly. Paraphrasing plagiarism, restating someone's work or idea in your own words but without giving credit. So you will understand whether it is direct plagiarism or self-plagiarism or mosaic plagiarism or accidental plagiarism or paraphrasing plagiarism. In all the cases, one common thing is that you should not copy and paste. The second common thing is that you have to give due credit to the original author whose idea you are mentioning in your paper. If you can take care of these two things, at least, even if it is intentional or unintentional, if you have given credit and you have written his statement keeping the essence the same, in your own language by paraphrasing, then you are freed from plagiarism. What can be the repercussions of plagiarism? Now, this is something that should be understood very, very clearly for any and every research scholar, or even those who are guiding research scholars. It is meant for them also. So it is for anybody who is publishing, whether he is a guide, he is a mentor, he is a research scholar, he is a postdoctoral fellow, whatever he is, or an undergraduate student. This rule applies to one and all. Repercussions of plagiarisms are representing someone else's work, ideas, or words as your own without proper acknowledgement can have serious consequences in academic, professional, legal, and ethical context. So you understand that it is of a very serious kind. We are not talking about something which is very light type. It can have consequences on your academic life, your professional life. It could lead to legal problems, and of course, it is ethically wrong. So let us go one by one and look at it. What could be the academic consequences? Loss of grades or failure in assignments, research papers, or courses. Suppose if you have copied and pasted your fellow uh, teammates' assignment and submitted as your own. The teachers are now smart enough to see and look at the language and immediately understand that you have copied from your friend's copy. That itself is a serious, that can lead to academic consequence. Suspension or expulsion from educational institution. Some institutes can take very serious action and you may be thrown out for doing such an act. Cancellation of degree. If plagiarism is discovered after graduation, it is quite possible that your graduation degree may be turned null and void by the institute authorities and the institute, vigilance committee. Damage to academic credibility and reputation of a researcher or scholar. So it has serious implications. Now you understand that why right from the beginning I was mentioning about the plagiarism fact, that it should be avoided, that we should refrain from any kind of indulgence into plagiarism and so on. We will go into this, that how to avoid plagiarism, but before, let us understand what are the repercussions of plagiarism. Second is professional consequences. First we saw academic consequences, now we are looking at professional consequences. Loss of job or professional position, difficulty obtaining future employment or research funding, retraction of research paper by journals and publishers, or it could also lead to loss of professional memberships in academic and research organizations. So you see that professionally also the repercussions can extend to damage your professional life. It can take away the job, or you cannot find another employment easily or funding easily if you are once blacklisted by Plagiarism Act. Even your papers can be retracted and are retracted. I had told in one of the lectures that there is a site where you can see how many papers have been retracted, and it is called www.retraction.com. So you will see that so many people who have either accidentally or knowingly indulged in plagiarism were compelled to retract the papers from their academic career and their profile. The third repercussion is legal consequences. Plagiarism may lead to copyright infringement lawsuits. The original author may seek financial compensation or damages, legal penalties depending on the jurisdiction and severity of the case. So it can have very serious legal implications as well. Imagine that you are infringing the copyright of that author. So copyright infringement laws will apply there, and the original author may ask for financial compensation or some sort of damage repair. So these are some very serious allegations which one should avoid. Legal penalties also can happen depending on the seriousness of the case. Then comes ethical consequences. Violation of academic integrity and research ethics, loss of trust from peers, supervisors, and institutions, harm to the integrity of scientific research and knowledge development. So, ethical reasons, of course, we have been talking from day one, from lecture one, and we have understood that research has to be done ethically. There is no scope for any cheating, fraud, or any kind of malpractices when you are a research scholar or even when you become a guide or a mentor. The honesty pays in life, and your own ideas you are generating anyway. So, why indulge in copying somebody else's idea? You have been trained for all the academic knowledge that you require to generate new research ideas. The methods of generating new ideas also have been made known to you through looking at lot of research literature, looking at the gaps in the research process. One can generate one's own idea. There is no need for plunging into plagiarism at all. The fifth repercussion is impact on research and knowledge. Misleading or duplicated information in literature, scientific literature, slow down innovation and genuine scientific contribution, reduces the credibility of research community. So you see that it also hampers the research and scientific knowledge, because by doing so you are actually misleading and duplicating the same knowledge. Although it has been published and you are republishing it saying it is yours. And in the process, the innovation and the genuine scientific contributions get hampered. And this definitely reduces the credibility of the research community. People think, oh, people from India are always publishing, copying and publishing. They are, stooping down to plagiarism. Or people from China, in the in the hood of publishing too many papers at the same time, are trying to copy and paste. As a result, the credibility of the entire community, research community, goes down. Sixth is personal consequences. Undoubtedly, personally, it is going to affect you knowingly or unknowingly, because you can see that the damage to personal reputation and credibility, nobody can repair that. Once tarnished is tarnished forever. Loss of self-respect and professional recognition. No awards will be given. You will lose self-respect, and one has to reframe by all means, not only for your personal consequences, but for the community, for the institute, for the country. One has to refrain from plagiarism. Psychological stress and long-term career setback. So these are some of the very serious repercussions of plagiarism, and therefore again and again I am telling that plagiarism should be avoided completely. 100% it should be avoided. One should refrain from plagiarism whatsoever the means may be. Now, looking at this particular slide, which is sourced from SciSpace, types of plagiarism to be aware of: global or complete, verbatim or direct, source-based, paraphrasing, mosaic or patchwork, ghostwriting, self or accidental. We have already discussed this in the last 2-3 slides, but why I gave this particular slide, I had an intention of making you understand that our mind is good enough. It has its own bulb. We don't need to borrow anybody else's bulb, and that is what is depicted in this slide. Bulb indicates the idea. It's a symbolic way of saying, why should I borrow anybody else's idea when my brain is capable of thinking and originating new ideas? Now, consequences of plagiarism can even extend to academic penalties, grade reduction, suspension, and up to expulsion, that you can be thrown out of your academic program. You can be degraded. That means if you have got A grade, you will get D grade or F grade. That is one way that the mentor or the instructor will fail you in that particular subject. Or you may be suspended from that particular course. You can't finish that course in that semester. You will have to repeat it. Or sometimes you can be thrown out of that whole program. Suppose you are an undergraduate student, you will be debarred to continue your undergraduate studies. Loss of credibility and professional reputation. So definitely nobody will trust you. Even if you are honestly writing the next paper, people will think, oh, he has a tendency to copy and paste. He must have got this paper. Even when there is a good feedback of your second paper, people will not believe your professional reputation to improve. Why? Because once tarnished is tarnished forever. Legal repercussions, we have just discussed, can have very serious copyright infringement issues, and it can go to as serious as retraction of the paper of the published paper from the research journals. The publisher has the choice. If he or she is discovering that you have actually indulged in plagiarism and the original author points this out, showing evidences that this was his original paper and this has been copied into this paper, then definitely the paper will be retracted. Now, how does it happen? Normally, a researcher is tempted to copy someone's work because he has to mention in the introduction part. Many a times when students do not do this course on research methodology, they are unaware. They think that yes, I can write this. There is no problem in writing because I have to quote this person's work. But they forget to give the proper referencing and credit when they are copying in their own text somebody else's work. Citing a source improperly, that you are not giving the reference, you are just paraphrasing it. Failure to cite a source, it could be accidental, unintentional, or it could be intentional. You don't want to give credit to that person. You want that this idea should go or float in the academic circle as your own idea, which is not true. So, in that case, you you have actually made that mistake. There is no way that you can stop, and you have already committed that mistake, and therefore that cannot be stopped. So this is how it happens. But if the mind is alert, if you are doing your introduction part of the research paper very mindfully, you will not let any of these happen. Or turning in another person's work as your own, cutting and pasting it. Any one of these, if you indulge, then you have actually stepped into plagiarism. And you could have done without knowing it or knowing it. But now is the time to understand, before writing a research paper, you have to auto-suggest yourself that I cannot do the following. I cannot copy someone's work. I have to properly cite that person's work if I am paraphrasing his work or mentioning his work. I have to definitely cite the source from which I have taken, giving due credit to the author as well as the journals and other details. And you cannot create some false site from some false source so that people are not able to. You have to give correct information. Even sometimes some researchers are smart enough. They cite some XYZ which doesn't even exist. So they will say, I have cited, but I have cited falsely. So it is again wrong. It is again a part of a new type of plagiarism. Cite correctly, cite honestly, use your own words to exemplify the idea of another person's work while mentioning in the introduction part, when you are building up the story, what all has been done in that area of research. No cutting and pasting, definitely. The consequences are very serious. That is why I am again and again talking about it. It is very easy to tell if you have plagiarized. There are softwares available to check. One is Turnitin and many others are there. Grammarly also does. Even Google can check if a sentence is pasted. One can know whether the text has been copied or not. In fact, they can even tell you the source, the paper, the author's name, the publisher, and all the details can be obtained from these sources. Just you have to, take half a sentence and put it in that search engine, and you will get the whole information: who is the author, which is the journal, which is the article, what is the title of the article, when was it published, what are the page numbers, what is the volume number, etc., etc. So don't think that you are smart. The evaluators are even more smarter. Whenever I get any thesis to correct or any research paper, I randomly select sentences and put them for checking. That gives me, because every sentence I cannot check, but by randomly checking, I get an idea that the person has written on his own. He has given due recognition to the author's work wherever he has quoted somebody's work, and that is reflected in the reference section as well as in the text section of the introduction. So it is not difficult, it is not something that is not doable. How to avoid plagiarism? Now this slide is going to be extremely important for all those who want to refrain from any kind of plagiarism. We saw how many different types of plagiarisms are there. Cite your sources. Always give proper credit for ideas, quotes, and data. Use quotation marks when directly quoting someone's word. You can put it in the quotation mark in the parenthesis of that. Then it is okay. Quote, unquote. You are quoting somebody's language and you are writing that author's name. That is allowed. But if you are paraphrasing, the paraphrasing language should not have the same wordings as what is written by the original author. So paraphrase carefully, rewrite ideas in your own words, and still cite the source in the parenthesis. Use plagiarism checkers, tools like Turnitin or Grammarly, which can help detect unintentional plagiarism. So you yourself can also check by mistake. I shouldn't have done this, but let me check if any of my sentences are being, labeled out through Turnitin or Grammarly. So that helps you to safeguard yourself, and you have completely avoided and devoided your document from any kind of act of plagiarism. Keep track of references. Mention all the references that you have used in your introduction part in the text, whether they have been cited in the reference portion as well. That makes it foolproof. Why is plagiarism a problem? Plagiarism determines academic integrity, original thinking, honest scholarship. In research, it can lead to misinformation, loss of trust, retraction of paper, and institutional penalties. It's a serious problem. It can lead to very, very serious and damaging effect on your entire work career. It can have an implication on your academic integrity. People will say, you got a PhD degree, but did you get it correctly? Or is it some kind of a fake degree that you have got? People will start thinking that you are not capable of original thinking. You can't think on your own. That's why you have copied from somebody else's work. So that loss of trust is a very big loss. And whether you are really honestly a good scholar or you are a fake scholar. And in research, definitely you are taking part in misinformation, building a loss of trust, which can lead to retraction of papers, and this can eventually, if it happens 2 to 3 times, then the institute can actually debar you from the job. You will have institutional penalties. So now you understand that everything is so serious. It is not to be taken very lightly. There is a huge problem if you are caught in any act of plagiarism, because the institute can take any measure depending on the kind of mistake that you have done. It could be an unintentional mistake as well, but nobody will believe you. So it is always better that keep your intentions clear, be honest, follow the guideline, and that will help you to avoid plagiarism. How to avoid plagiarism? The best way is to summarize in your own language. Suppose I want to quote Professor James and I can't use his word. So I will take that work, original work, try to paraphrase it, read it 2-3 times, and put the reference of the original Professor James, reference of year, say 2005, in the parenthesis, and keep my sentences intact. Now, it's a good exercise. As a child, you must have done comprehension. This is a very good exercise given in English language when we are in class 6, 7, 8, 9, 10th. It is to train you to read the paragraph and to write in your own language. Same thing, same comprehension you have to do here. But here you are doing a scientific paragraph, somebody else's work, and additionally, you are writing the source, the name of that author, and the year in which he published. That is the only additional thing from comprehension exercise that you did in school. Your summary should be shorter than the text you are summarizing. But that may not always happen. But try to keep it. You can't make 2 lines into a 10-line summary. That doesn't make sense. 2 lines can become 3 lines in your own language. That's okay. So it need not be that it was 2 lines, so I have to also write in 2 lines only. No. The meaning should not change. When you are changing from the author's language to your own language, the idea should not change. The meaning of that idea should not change. And you write the reference, cite the reference properly as per the referencing style of that paper, then it is okay. No problem, nothing to worry. You have been able to rightly avoid plagiarism. You must use your own words, usually with a very limited use of quotations. So there is no scope of writing quotations when you are paraphrasing. You are writing simple sentence which was used by the author. With the same simplicity, you will write your own original summary of those lines and cite the work and then put it in the text part of the introduction. Now, paraphrasing is an art. You must reference the original source after having written in your own language. reference has to be put. Otherwise, if you only paraphrase, even that comes under plagiarism. If you forget to write the source, it is also plagiarism. So, writing in your own word along with the original reference, who did it, when it did it do, is very important. Then it is a complete paraphrasing. The text you produce may be shorter or longer than the original text. It doesn't matter. You may be able to write a shorter text. You may be able to write a longer text. But of course, definitely, 2 lines cannot become 10 line. That is too long. You can't make 2 lines into a paragraph. 2 lines you can make up to 3 to 4 lines because you are using your own words. You are trying to explain the meaning also in that language. So that is perfectly all right. There is no harm about that. How to do paraphrasing? I will show you step by step. Paraphrasing is a process of restating someone else's idea or information in your own words and sentence structure while keeping the original meaning. This I have just now explained. It is important skill in academic writing and research to avoid plagiarism and demonstrate understanding of the source. So, all along, one thing that I have been repeatedly telling, mention the source, mention the source, mention the source. Which means what? That paraphrasing is incomplete. You have converted it into your own language, but it is incomplete if you have not mentioned the source. So the steps to do paraphrasing is the following. The first step is read the original text carefully. Read the passage 2, 3, 4 times to fully understand the meaning. Identify the main idea and key points. Second point is note the key ideas. Write down the important concepts without copying the exact words. Focus on the core meaning rather than the wording. Now, there is a sentence which says that the reaction mechanism of epoxidation requires very severe condition. This sentence you have to write in your own words. You will choose that there is the epoxidation reaction requires very strong conditions as mentioned by James et al. 2003. So you have converted it, you have changed it, and you have cited it. You have not changed the core meaning at all. So that is the way it is to be paraphrased. Third point is rewrite your own words. Change the sentence structure. Use different vocabularies or synonyms. Combine or split sentences if necessary. So now your learning of comprehension, which you learned in school, comes into play. How can you summarize it in your own language? The idea of another person. Fourth point is compare with the original. Ensure the meaning remains accurate and unchanged. Make sure the wording is significantly different from the source. These are the two main points. See that meaning has not changed and you are not using the same words. Of course, certain terms you have to use, but that the use or the framing of that sentence using those words should definitely be very different. Cite the source. Again and again, this word citing the source is coming. It is surfacing every now and then. And the reason is that is the crux to avoid paraphrasing without citing or indulging in plagiarism. Now I will give you a few examples so that it becomes clear to you what I meant by using your own words. Research is a systematic process of collecting, analyzing, and interpreting information to answer questions or solve problems. This is the original text. The paraphrase version would be something like: research involves an organized method of gathering and examining data in order to understand issues or find solutions to specific questions. So you see, it has been nicely paraphrased, but meaning has not changed, but the words have not been copied. You are getting the same flavor from the paraphrased version as what you would have got from the original text. Whatever is your understanding of the original text, paraphrased version is also conveying the same meaning. Meaning thereby that it is being paraphrased, at least the comprehension part has been done successfully. Techniques used in paraphrasing. Use synonym. If, for example, if the original has important, you write significant. Change sentence structure. If the original sentence is in active voice, change it to passive voice. Combine or divide the sentences in order to convey the meaning. Change the order of information. Use different parts of speech. For example, if it is analyze is a verb, you can change it to a noun which is analysis. So, by doing so, you are actually changing all the commonality between the original and the paraphrased text. Quote. You must reference the original source. The text produced is the exact length of original text quoted unless ellipses are used. That means the inverted commas. You must use the original author's exact words, and you must put quotation marks around them. You must include the page number of the source from which you are borrowed the original author's idea and language. So, paraphrasing without citing is plagiarism. So, avoid, do not forget, and always remember, even if you are quoting, you have to write the in the parenthesis, the author's name and the year. For example, you can introduce quotes with phrases like, according to Shastri et al., XXX is the year, or Shastri et al. Stated in the year, in the parenthesis, XXX stands for the year. So you are giving the author's name and the year, and that will take care that you have quoted it correctly. How to cite? Indirect quotes. Some researchers note that the recycling of PE waste by converting it into hydrocarbon fuel using the catalytic cracking method over aluminium pillared clay catalyst. Direct quote would be, Manos and his co-workers reported the recycling of PE waste by converting it into hydrocarbon fuel using the catalytic cracking method over aluminum pillared clay catalyst. This will be the direct quote. But paraphrasing and summarizing would sound something like this. Some researchers have observed that the recycling of PE waste by converting it into hydrocarbon fuel using the catalytic cracking method over aluminum pillared clay catalyst. So you see, all of them convey the same meaning, but the paraphrased is not using the same verb, language, and therefore this is allowed. What does citation mean? A work cited is a list of sources that goes at the end of your paper as a reference section or presentation that tells the reader all the sources you have used. Formatting sources is a work cited is different from formatting and in the text citation. The list could be in alphabetical order or in the order in which they appear in the text, whichever style of referencing you are referring to. Use the website to help you with citation, and every journal will have a list of authors' guideline. You should read that very carefully in order to understand what to write, how to write, and what is the style, whether the author's name is coming first or the name of the title of the article is coming first, whether the surname is coming first and the initials of his name are coming, and so on and so forth. There are many styles, and yesterday we had seen some of them in one of the lectures. Citation can be from a book, a chapter of a book, research article, or review or website. Carefully check. Always double check all the citations for accuracy, proper formatting, author and page number. Sometimes people make very serious mistake by writing wrong page number or wrong year. Doubly, triply cross-verify your citations so that there are no mistakes in your paper. Make sure all your citation in the text actually match in the sources listed in the works cited. Many a times when I get papers for correction, for reviewing, I find some text citations are mentioned which are missing in the reference section, or some reference sections citations are missing, and vice versa. So such mistakes happen. These are human errors, but one can overcome by checking it and cross-checking it so that such a situation does not arise. And anyone reading your paper should be able to easily locate the original source of any material you use in your own work. So this helps not only that your work is done carefully checked and all that, but it also, suppose somebody is looking at the cross references of your paper, they can also say, okay, he has referenced it very properly. All the references that are in the text are showing in the reference section, and they have been, the year, the page numbers are all correct with author's name. Good sources to refer. You can refer university presses like Harvard, Cambridge, major publishing houses like Penguin, Random House, Elsevier, well-known organizations like United Nations, government websites. These are authentic, good sources for collecting the references. Well-known newspapers like New York Times, well-known media sources like BBC and CNN, and magazines, online journals like JSTOR and many others, which means that we should not take sources from any unverified source. All these names I have listed, these are verified information they give because they are practicing all correct methods. Sometimes unverified information is available on Google or today's time AI. You randomly check, you get some random information. Nobody is there to authenticate whether it is correct or wrong. And therefore, such informations should not be used as in the reference section. They are not authentic. Bad sources could be Wikipedia. I am not against Wikipedia, but some of the information in Wikipedia is also not verified. Personal blogs, non-credible newspapers, magazine, editorial, they just publish for the sake of publishing without verifying. That's why they are bad sources. I have no personal grievances against them or any grudge against them. But I'm just warning you what is to be source and what is to be avoided as source. Non-official information. You do not know whether it is correct or not. Unpublished work. So published work goes through peer review. There is somebody to cross-check it. Unpublished work is not peer reviewed. Common examples of plagiarisms that are witnessed are verbatim copying from a source without citation, submitting someone else's assignment or research paper as your own, rephrasing but keeping the original structure and idea without giving credit to the original author, citing incorrect or fake sources to mask copying, that you want to mask that you have copied, so you give some other citation which is a ghost site. So that is not correct. That is also a very common example of plagiarism. Collusion, which means work with others on an assignment meant to be done independently. So you come together and you were supposed to be doing it yourself independently. Some assignment was given, you take help from this one, and you publish it or present it to the mentor saying this you have done on your own. Even that is plagiarism. You can take help for understanding, but writing part, you have to do it yourself, and then it is not an example of plagiarism. Now, this is a very interesting slide. Why? Because it says everything in one slide. Source from Instatext. It says it could be intentional reference copying, it could be theft, it could be summarizing, cheating, permission credit, ideas stolen, and plagiarism could be anything that, means that you have copied. Ethical borrowing, information which has been not protected the original has not been mentioned, or it could be misinterpretation, honesty, proprocity, and all of that. Audio, it could be audio, or it could be journal stealing, copying, copyright, passage integrity, and all of that. So you see, it's a huge area where plagiarism can happen and should be avoided. What I mean to say in this, that it is a serious offense. There are plagiarism detection tools. There are Turnitin, Grammarly, iThenticate for researchers, QText, BlackScan, Plagiarism Checkers X, and many others. This is just a few of them which are very commonly used for plagiarism detection. How to summarize? Now, if you have to write in your own words, that means you have to do a comprehension exercise. Summarize it, the whole article, into 4 or 5 sentences. Pick 3 paragraphs to paraphrase and do so. Write about what you find most interesting about the article and incorporate two quotes with proper in-text citation. Complete a work cited for the article, and this will help you definitely to summarize in a manner that you are supposed to be doing by doing paraphrasing properly. So, to conclude this lecture, I would say plagiarism undermines the integrity of academic, creative, and professional work by presenting someone else's ideas or words or as one's own without proper acknowledgement. It is not only violating ethical standards but also devalues original effort and intellectual honesty. Preventing plagiarism requires awareness, proper citation practices, and a commitment to produce authentic work. Upholding academic and research integrity strengthens trust, fosters genuine learning, and contributes to advancement of knowledge. So with this, we have come to an end of this lecture. Thank you.